So, good morning again, everyone. So, I hope I am audible and the screen is visible to you all. दिख रहा है ना? You are able to see the screen? Okay, thank you. So, today is an important class because we will be studying some very basics of constitution. And from the next class, or maybe from the last part of today, we will begin with the most important topic of fundamental rights, right? So I think we completed here. No, we completed some basics concept. We completed uh, this. We completed this written and non-written constitution. Now, I hope you remember the example of written and non-written constitution. So what are the example of written constitution? Two example of written constitution and two of non-written written Indian constitution and USA's constitution. Here example of unwritten constitution is UK and New Zealand. So these are some important facts which can be asked in MCQ exam, right? Then we understand the theory of separation of power, right? Like we studied through the example of king, right? In the king time, in the time of the kings, in the uh, right, the king was the executive, he was the lawmaker, and he was also the judge, right? So because of this, justice was not possible. Because of this, justice was not possible. So then in 1700s, a lot of intellectuals, they started raising their voice. People like Montesquieu, he was a very famous French intellectual, right? If you have heard something about French revolution, right, there have been various revolution in the world. The most famous of them have been the French revolution. So these revolutions are nothing, these are mostly ideological, and these are led by intellectuals, right? So revolution is anything which try to change the status quo, right? If suppose we can say that India had a mini revolution in 2011 or 12, it was against corruption, right? It was against corruption when Anna Hazare, like he said in Delhi, under the banner of India against corruption, right? So that was a mini corruption against the ongoing practices in the public life, which was leading to a lot of corruption. Like similarly, we have American Revolution, we have a lot of, then we have Russian Revolution. So I will dedicate a class in history part. Like world history is not part of our syllabus, right? These are all part of world history. So what happened in French Revolution, what happened in American Russian Revolution, right? And there was also a Chinese Revolution in 19 there is also Chinese Revolution in 1950s, right? So all these revolutions, they are not part of our general study syllabus, right? I don't think there will be any questions in the exam mostly, but just to have a broader understanding of things around, right? I'll have a dedicated lecture for this revolution. Just in one lecture I will try to cover uh, as much as possible, right, to give you a glance. So it will also enhance your general personality, and when you will be able to read a lot of books and all these things, when you have some ideas about what was the basis, what was the condition of these revolutions, right? So in that time, this Montesquieu, he was a person who was involved in French Revolution. Now he was an intellectual, so he said that we want separation of power. Now otherwise justice cannot be done, right? If somebody is making the law and he is also the judge of that law, then how can justice prevail? So it is how this theory of separation of power started. Then we studied that US Constitution adopted it, but they didn't adopted it in that watertight compartment, right? Then we have Indian uh, version of separation of power. So Article 50 of Constitution, it says that there should be separation of power between executive and judiciary. And then we also have some separation of power, but we don't have very tight separation of power. There is some overlap between legislature and executive, right? So I hope you understand. How can anybody tell me how there is some overlap between executive and legislature? Anybody? willing to attempt it कि कैसे इनमें overlap है, how they are not completely separated, executive and legislature. Anyone? Ekta, Fuzail, Gautam, somebody want to attempt?
सर एक्चुअली जो प्राइम मिनिस्टर है या कैबिनेट मिनिस्टर है वो अपर हाउस में या लोअर हाउस में भी रह सकते हैं, तो एग्जीक्यूटिव जो है कैबिनेट मिनिस्टर है और प्राइम मिनिस्टर है
Yes,
वही
yes, right,
एमएलए
right,
है।
right, right,
तो
right. Rituparna also said the same thing, and Masarol also said the same thing. So it is perfectly right. So you should understand what is executive, what is legislature. I think everybody understand what is judiciary, right? Judiciary is very similar. It is courts. Legislature is also very easy to understand. It is what parliament, right? Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha and state legislative assemblies. All these things are part of legislature. All those bodies which makes laws are legislature. Executive terms का मतलब है all those people, all those officials who implement the law. Executive means who implement the law. They make the law. They judge the law. Judiciary, legislature make the law, and these people, executives, they make the law. So actually, I didn't go in detail of this executive in earlier classes. There are two kinds of executive, right? One executive we call them political executive. We call them. I hope whatever I am scrubbing here, it is like legible to you. Right? One is political executive, another one is permanent executive. Right? तो ये नाम बड़े टेक्निकल लग रहे हैं, but nothing fancy about it. Political executive are what Ritu Parna said and Masarul said, that they are PM and his cabinet. Right? Prime Minister, Home Minister, Defense Minister, everyone who is part of the government, right? They are executive. So what government is doing? Government ka aim is whatever the laws parliament is making, they are just working on executing it, implementing it. Also, they are part, but these PM and cabinet, they are also part of legislature, right? They are executive, but they are also part of legislature. So there is not no very watertight compartment, right? There is not very rigid division between executive and legislature, right? Some of the people in legislature, they are part of executive. The second kind of executives are those which are permanent, right? Prime minister, cabinet minister, they are not permanent. They might change after 5 years, right? Because there are elections. So they have to win the election, they have to win the mandate of the people. But then in our country, we also have some people who are permanently placed in the government to implement the laws, right? Whatever the legislature is making, they have to implement it. And can anybody guess who are these people? These are none other than IAS officer, IPS officers, right? Income tax officer, IRS officer, like even people like you, like although like you will be soon, yeah, group geoscientist, right? You will be officer in the Geological Survey of India, so GSI officers, right? So what is your mandate? What you will be doing as a GSI officer in nation building? Your aim will be to, you know, to manage the mineral resources of our country. Right? So mineral resources are the backbone of the economy. So your aim is to explore them, to make proper compilation of what resources we have, where we need to explore, right? Among the other works, this will be your work. So these people, the government officers, right? IS officers, these are all India service officers. These are central officers, right? All these are permanent executive. So their work is to implement the law, right? So these are not part of legislature, but these are part of legislature. So because of this political executive, there is not very rigid separation of power in our country, but there is, right? Like I hope you understand this concept of permanent executive and political executive, right? समझ गए ना? Anyone? Clear?
Yes, sir.
All right. Right. Then we go through some how our constitution can be amended, right? What are the provisions? Always remember this article. Very, very important. That amendment procedure in our constitution is given in Article 368. And it is a very important, right? Constitution says that whatever how you can amend the constitution, we are ourselves giving it in Article 368, right? Or part 20. So this is also sometime asked, but this is important. Article 368 is about amendment of the constitution, right? Then okay, we also went through the process, so that's all right now. Factual stuff. So now this is an important thing: nature and feature of Indian constitution, right? So like what now, from now on, what our approach will be, we'll today in today's class we'll go through very basic important features of our constitution, right? And then in the meanwhile we will pick few of these features, we will pick few of these features, and we will go in detail what is important for our examination, right? So like I have 14 15 features we will cover today. I have covered 15 features, and then we will start few features and we will go in detail of it. So somebody is saying something. Are you recording? Please check. Okay. Yeah, I think recording is on, right? Recording is on. Thank you. So basically, so like nature. So see, the one of the first feature of Indian Constitution we discussed in the first class is that it is the lengthiest written constitution in the world, right? So like why it is lengthiest? When it was written, it had 395 articles. How many schedule does it have when it was started? When it was drafted for the first time, it had 8 schedules, right? And it had how many? 22 parts. What is the status today? It is 1950. Today, how many articles do we have? Any guesses?
360.
No, no. There were 395 articles at the starting, and we have added articles. We have not deleted yet. So there are more than 450 articles, right? There are more than 450 or 470 articles, and we don't have to remember all of them. We just have to remember maybe 20 to 30 articles, right? अब तक कुछ तो आपको याद भी हो गए होंगे. One of the important article we just discussed few seconds ago was Article 368. It is related to amendment of the, yes, right, Arup says there are 470, so there are around 470 articles. How many schedules do we have? We have today 12 schedule, right? We had 8 schedule, and then we have added four schedule, right? The 9th schedule, the 10th schedule, 11th and 12th, right? Can anybody tell me which amendment, through which amendment we added 9th schedule? कल किसी ने बताया भी था. Yes, first Rituparna and Masarul said first, right? Very good. So first amendment. Then we added anti-defection schedule as the 10th schedule by 52nd amendment, right? And another, can anybody tell from which this 11th and 12th schedule were added? These are related to panchayat and municipalities. So they were added by 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act, right? So now we have 12 schedule, and today we have 25 parts, right? So this is bulky, this is very very bulky, and that is why we say that it is the lengthiest written constitution. So like, can anybody of you guess why we had such lengthy constitution? Like there are so many countries, there are over 200 countries in the world. Why do we have so much lengthy constitution? And this may not be asked in exam, but this may be asked in your, maybe in your interview, or in general curiosity. Why do we have such a lengthy constitution? Diversity, yes. Diversity, ethnic groups, like Amar is saying, Masarul, Vinay, right? So see, right, perfect. So actually see, this is our country. Forgive me for my drawing, it might not be very good. It is decent enough, right? So sorry. Right. So like we have how much? 29 states or 28 states, 29 states, right? So and we have 8 union territories. So like so much diversity. Like here people speak Kashmiri. Here we speak, there are Dravidian languages. There are, a lot of tribal languages in the central India. Right? Here Gujarati, Marathi, Bengali. So there is religious diversity, right? Like linguistic diversity. There are lot of religion. Now over 20 religions are, over 10 religions are there in our country. There are Hindu, Muslim, Christians, like Sikhs, then Jews, Parsis. A lot of kind of religions are there. So we have a lot of diversity. Everybody's culture is different. So to incorporate everyone to make our country truly democratic, we try to go in details of everything, right? So this is one of the thing. Second thing is, like, also we have vast geography, right? India's north to south extent is how much? It is more than 3,300 kilometers. Same is the case with east west. It is also around more than 3,000 kilometers, right? Then it is historical also. Before we drafted our constitution, there were other laws, right? Despite we were a British colony, but we had other laws governing our country. So a very important law was a law which was drafted by Britishers. Like you must have heard about Simon Commission. ना बचपन में सबने सुना होगा Simon Go Back. Like Simon Go Back. But that Simon might have gone back, but that Simon did drafted a law. एंड उसी के कमीशन के रिकमेंडेशन के बाद एक बहुत फेमस एक्ट आया था 1935 गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया एक्ट, right? Government of India Act. So before independence, this was the act which was governing the whole of the country. So basically this was our constitution. So we have taken a lot of things from this, and this act was also very bulky. Yes, Simon Commission came in 1927. So 1927 में आया साइमन कमीशन, हम लोगों ने रजिस्ट किया, right? Yes, she's saying that in 1927 Simon Commission came, but after that Gandhi ji, Congress and a lot of parties they met in round table conferences. History में we will do this, right? Advait sir will be covering. So round table conferences. So after a lot of talking and discussion, we drafted, or the British has drafted this 1935 Act. So it was also very bulky. So that is one of the reason. And another reason which is often cited is the dominance of lawyers, right? Like B.R. Ambedkar, he was one of the main architect to draft the constitution. So he was himself a very very good lawyer, right? A lot of freedom fighters at that time they were lawyers, and you know what law people do, na? They are very good with words, so they go in very nitty gritty of the words. So that also makes our constitution lengthy, right? So I hope you understand why it is lengthy and how. Then the second important feature is our constitution is drawn from various sources, right? Our constitutional makers they read a lot of things, right? जैसे अभी आप पढ़ाई कर रहे हो ना, you must be reading the winter भी पढ़ना पड़ रहा होगा, right? For petrology, William Thornbury शायद for geomorphology, and Todd पढ़ रहे होगे, a lot of books ने उमेश्वर प्रसाद. So just to excel in the exam, or maybe you might be doing Lawrence's class, right? Because like you are reading a lot of things. Similarly, our constitutional makers read everything. They read more than 60 plus constitutions of the world, and they tried ki what is best for India. Now, what is best for India? So, and they took that feature, and they, what they did was they modified it to the needs of the Indian people, right? So this is a very very common question in objective examination, right? So you should focus here. Some थोड़ा सा rectification है, understanding भी है. So there are three things. The structural part, ना, this is our constitution, which is a book. The structure of constitution is derived from the law which was prevailing before we got independence. That was Government of India Act 1935, right? जिसके बारे में we talked about, right? So the structure of our constitution is taken from Government of India Act, right? The philosophical part is taken from American and Ireland constitution, right? So by philosophical structure we means the fundamental rights. Fundamental rights are derived. The idea of fundamental rights is derived from American constitution, right? So in America, अगर आप में से कभी कोई गया हो या सुना हो, like if a lot of people from India they go to America, right? And they become वहीं का रह जाते हैं ना, they started doing their job or studies or whatever. So that is the beauty of that country, that they value rights of the people very much, right? They have given right and nobody can take the right. They are very open society. They also have a lot of problems, but that is the charm of that society. So all those rights, all those freedom, that liberty, who has given that? The Constitution of America has given that, right? So we were also, our constitutional makers were also very impressed by this, right? So they adopted that. Then we have DPSP. It is derived from Irish Constitution. Just remember it, right? Then the political part, like what kind of political structure do we have? Now we have Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, like we have two houses. Similarly, such political system is there in Britain, right? So the political part is adopted from Britain, right? There are some other parts. I also shared this earlier. इसको थोड़ा सा ध्यान रखना ना. The material which I have uploaded on your portal, reading material, it also has this, right? So see here, I will go through for you once. तो याद कर लो इसको, 2-3 बार रिवाइज करना. देयर इज अ वेरी गुड चांस कि एक सवाल डायरेक्टली इसी स्लाइड से आ जाएगा एग्जाम में, राइट? Like there is a very good chance that one question will come directly from this site, right? Like I'm sorry, I might sometimes speak in Hindi, but whatever I speak in Hindi, I will also speak that in English also, right? So there are some people from uh, non-Hindi speaking state. So like if you have any problem, you can you can just pinpoint me at that time also, right? So like I said, the structural part is derived from Government of India Act. So these are short notes. See, I have not written any words or all these things. So I have, since you have to study a lot geology, so I could have given this in 10 pages also, right? In book this is given in 10 pages, but I have very simplified it for you in just one slide. So isko yaad kar lena, right? Then philosophical part is from American and Irish constitution. This C sign is constitution. Political part British, this we did, right? Then what else is important? This is important. This we will study in article 21, right? Procedure established by law. So this is derived from Japanese constitution. DPSP we studied, this we will discuss in detail, but isko star mark karke rakho, right? Write it in your copy. Then Irish constitution is DPSP. What did we derive from US constitution? We discussed fundamental rights. We also derived the preamble, right? I discussed a phrase, a very famous phrase, which is in our preamble, which we derive from American constitution. What is that phrase? It's Thomas Jefferson, a very famous guy. Thomas Jefferson. So he was the one who framed a quote. Preamble में. Yes, Priyansh says that we the people. Very good. So we the people of India. Now we give our country this preamble. So we the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. Like this, what I am saying is this is preamble, right? So we the people, the first line we have derived from US Constitution. Then the idea of separation of power, independence of judiciary, judicial reviews. These are the features of our constitution which we have derived from US Constitution, right? What are these features? We'll see in detail, don't worry. But this is just a summary slide. Then from Australian Constitution, we have very important the phenomena of joint sitting, right? ये पूछते हैं बहुत बार एग्जाम में कि joint sitting, the idea of joint sitting was incorporated in Indian Constitution from which of the following countries, right? Answer is Australian. Like in Canada में अगर किसी को थोड़ा बहुत international relations में interest है, if you are interested in international relations, you must be knowing that Canada has a very powerful center, right? Like Canada has 9 or 10 provinces, right? I am not sure about provinces, matlab states, right? So, but their states are very weak. They don't have much power. The center is very powerful there, the central government. So, also in our country also, though we have both equal, right? State as well as center, but at times it feels that the center is at more powerful than the state, like because of various reasons. So, but this idea that a strong center, it is derived from Canadian Constitution. And we have this very important feature of fundamental duties. We adopted it from USSR, that is the Soviet Union. Russia and the other nearby countries, and the idea of LEF, idea of left, liberty, equality and fraternity from the French Constitution, right? So ये बहुत छोटी सी चीज है, इसको अपने हाथ से लिख के रखना. Keep it in your notes. It will come in handy. At least 2 सवाल आपके सही हो सकते हैं, एक तो हो गई होगा, right? And then again the idea of justice, social justice, political and economic justice, right? We have derived this from Russian Revolution, right? I said that in the world we have had a lot of revolutions, Russia and French Revolution. So from French Revolution or French Constitution we derived this, ठीक है? And we discussed this emergency provision from the Hitler Constitution, from the Germany Constitution, Weimar Constitution we say it, right? So I hope easy है, कुछ इतना difficult नहीं है ना, ये तो factual stuff है. So this is one of the feature of our constitution, that it is derived from a lot of sources, right? ये uploaded भी है portal पे. I will also upload the slides, the same very slide, so you can revise it from there, right? The third is important, that is our constitution is a blend is mixture of rigidity as well as flexibility. Like what is rigid? Rigid is something which is hard, which is difficult. So difficult to change, difficult to change, right? A rock is rigid because it is difficult to change, difficult to break. Similarly, a rigid constitution means a constitution which cannot be changed, which cannot be amended, or it is very difficult to amend the constitution, right? So that is the thing. So ours is not a rigid nor a very flexible. We have a combination of both, right? So the American constitution, it is termed as a very rigid constitution. So like till now there has been over 220 years of independence ना. 220 साल हो चुके हैं यूएसए को इंडिपेंडेंस मिले. सॉरी, 1789 में यूएस गॉट इंडिपेंडेंट, राइट? सो वहां से लेके अभी तक देयर हैज बीन वेरी फ्यू कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट, राइट? हाउ मेनी अमेंडमेंट आर देयर इन यूएसए कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन? दिस इज योर होमवर्क, राइट? इतना गूगल कर लेना, हाउ मेनी अमेंडमेंट्स आर देयर इन यूएस कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. इन इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन वी हैव ओवर 102 अमेंडमेंट्स, राइट? 100 से ज्यादा अमेंडमेंट है ना. यूएस में अभी इतने सालों में भी इतने अमेंडमेंट नहीं हुए हैं, राइट? इन ब्रिटिश में कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है ही नहीं. इट इज अनरिटन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. वॉट एवर पार्लियामेंट सेज और इट मेक्स, इट बिकम्स पार्ट ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, राइट? सो what I mean is by this blend of rigidity or flexibility is this. Now yesterday I covered this with you about the amendments. So see, you can see our constitution, there are some provision in our constitution which are very difficult provisions, like if you want to change how president is elected, how if you want to change something about supreme court and high court, so right, if you want to change something from the seventh schedule, so if you want to change something from them, you need special majority in parliament as well as consent of 50% of state. So it is difficult. So these are difficult to change. But then there are some provisions which can be changed by simple majority, right? Which can be changed by simple majority. So like if you have to form a state like Telangana, it was bifurcated from Andhra Pradesh a few years ago. So it was not done by much, just a simple majority, just 50% of the people present and voting, right? If even they are passing it, if suppose there are 540 members in Lok Sabha and maybe 100 are absent that day, 100 are boycotted, so then there are 440 present. So even if 220 people or 221 people voted for this, it is passed, right? So you can see these are flexible. These salary and allowance of member of parliament, number of judges in Supreme Court, so all these things can be changed very easily. So it is flexible, right? But if you want to change more important, so you need to have more majority, so it is rigid. So this is what it means, right? What I have written in the slide is constitution is a constitution is a blend of rigidity as well as flexibility, right? So just revise this slide now. I just have to take a call, right? It is urgent. Hello. How are you? Like sorry, like there was some medical emergency, so I had to pick up the call, right? So I hope I am audible now, right? I'm audible back. So all right. So now I hope you understand what is the meaning of that Indian Constitution is a blend of rigidity and flexibility. Done. Some part can be amended easily, some part needs a lot of majority, right? Now the third thing, it is a very common quote about Indian constitution, that our Indian constitution is a, our political system is a federal system, right? What is federal system? Anyone? What is federal system? Yes, yes. Anyone, like anybody new want to Snehashish, Ranjit, anybody want to attempt? What is federal system? Adil, Akshay? Yes, federal system is, federal मतलब होता है, there are two units. Federation means there are more than one unit. So in our polity we have फेडरल सिस्टम. फेडरल सिस्टम का मतलब होता है, कभी ये वर्ड बहुत बार सुन रखा होगा ना, करंट अफेयर्स में भी आप सुनते होगे ना, कोऑपरेटिव फेडरलिज्म. अगर आप थोड़ा बहुत अखबार पढ़ते हो या नरेंद्र मोदी जी को सुनते हो, तो ही टॉक्स अबाउट कोऑपरेटिव फेडरलिज्म, राइट? कभी कभी स्टेट चिल्लाते हैं कि भैया पैसा नहीं मिल रहा, पैसा नहीं मिल रहा, वी आर नॉट गेटिंग मनी, वी आर नॉट गेटिंग मनी. So they talk about financial federalism, federalism, right? So what is it? It is not, it is about states and center. Federal matlab center, that is union government, and state governments, right? So our constitution is division of power. Na, Snehasi says that it is about division of power. Ritu Parna says that dual government system, one at the center. Very good, right? Exactly, this is what I wanted. So फेडरल मतलब वी हैव डुअल पॉलिटी, दो तरह के गवर्नमेंट है, एक सेंटर पे एक स्टेट में. एंड ऐसा नहीं है कि सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट इज अबव द स्टेट गवर्नमेंट, बोथ ऑफ देम आर इक्वल इन देयर डोमेन, राइट? सो व्हेन यू से दैट इट इज डिवीजन ऑफ पावर, सो बेसिकली देयर इज डिवीजन ऑफ पावर ना. देयर आर सम पावर्स जिसमें स्टेट इज सुप्रीम, लाइक एग्रीकल्चर, सेंटर हैज नो रोल, राइट? इट इज द स्टेट. हेल्थ, and there are some like foreign affairs, defense, here the center dominates. So if somebody say you about federal, it means units na. Federal matlab units, one unit is center and another we have 29 or maybe 36 units, union territories bhi hain. So they are different but they are equal. So we have a federal system ki thoda sa power with center, other power with the state, right? But ये जो scholars होते हैं, they attach this word to our polity. It means we have a federal system, that is we have two government, we have division of power between them, right? We have written constitution, but we have a unitary bias. We have a unitary bias, right? So what this unitary bias means? Unitary bias मतलब, अगर आपको, if I have to ask you what is the antonyms like opposite of federal, so what it would be, the answer of opposite अगर लिखना पड़ा एग्जाम में, ठीक है, कि opposite of federal क्या होगा? It will be unitary polity. Yes, union is powerful. Akshay is saying it means union is powerful. Actually opposite of federal, अगर if a country don't have federal system, it will have only union, right? It won't have states. So there are a lot of countries like Singapore. Singapore don't have any state, it has only union government, right? There are some other countries which don't have states, they have only one government, that is the center government, right? So I think even in United Kingdom something similar is there, right? So it is unitary policy. So opposite of it, so we do have a federal system, but some says that we also have some unitary tendencies, right? कि कभी कभी ऐसा लगता है कि यूनियन इज वेरी पावरफुल, स्टेट को सब्जुगेट कर देता है. ऑन पेपर वी से दैट वी आर फेडरल सिस्टम, स्टेट इज एज इम्पोर्टेंट एज यूनियन, बट ऑन अ लॉट ऑफ इश्यूज it could be seen that center is more powerful, right? So like what could be the example? This is also there, like this I have written some federal features. So two government, center as well as state, division of power, that is seventh schedule, right? we have a written constitution, so everything is written, you cannot change it, so it gives rigidity, it gives federal features. And we have bicameralism. This is an important term. So what is bicameralism? Bicameralism मतलब having two houses, right? So central government में, central parliament में, what are the two houses? One is the Lok Sabha, another one is the Rajya Sabha. So how bicameralism gives federal features, federal power? Because Lok Sabha में क्या होता है, directly we vote ना, you might have voted to some to your MP ना, member of parliament, for the Lok Sabha, right? But how the people are selected for Rajya Sabha? How people go to Rajya Sabha? It is the state legislative assembly, right? If suppose every state has a state legislative assembly, right? The people, like the building where MLAs sit and make laws, right? That is the state legislative assembly. So those state legislative assembly, they elect among themselves few members, and they send them to Rajya Sabha, right? So suppose this is Rajya Sabha. Now there are 11 members from Madhya Pradesh. There might be 29 members from Uttar Pradesh. I don't know how many are there. Maybe 15 from Tamil Nadu, right? So these are all, these member of Rajya Sabha are nothing but they are basically representative of states, like all the states. The members of Rajya Sabha are no one, but they are just representative of the states, right? So that is the beauty of bicameralism. So bicameralism से क्या हो रहा है? In central government there is representation of all the states, so it gives our constitution federal features. But then there are some other features, like 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 we said that we have a strong center, we have single citizenship, right? In our country there is only one citizenship. Suppose Akshay Barua, he might be from Assam, right? If I am not wrong. So if you are from Assam, you still you are citizen of India only, you are not the citizen of India as well as Assam. We don't say it that way. But in America, there is dual citizenship. If somebody is living in the state of maybe Texas, now Texas is a state in America, so he has dual citizenship. He is citizen of Texas as well as citizen of America, United States of America. But in India, we don't have this. We everybody in India is a citizen of India. He is not citizen of the state. Now that is not how we talk it. Then you must have heard about governor. Governor is there. So who appoint governor? We say that governor is the nominal head of a state. एक state का head is governor, even though a state is run by chief minister. But on paper, the head of a state is what? Governor. The power actually lies with the chief minister. But on paper, governor is the head of a state. So this head of the state is appointed by central government. No role of state government is taken into account. So say you can get a feel ki if the head of a state is just appointed by center and there is no role of state, so basically state becomes a weaker, right? Then we have things like all India service. Like what is all India service? This IAS. Like there are 3 all India service in our country. What are these? Can anybody make a guess? What are the 3 all India services in our country? IAS, IPS is very good, Rituparna, right? So there are 3 all India services. This could also be a question in our exam. Now, all India services. So we call Indian Administrative Service, Indian Police Service, and Indian Forest Service. These are 3 all India services, right? So these officers of these services are selected by whom? They are selected by exam by UPSC, like, and UPSC is in a way under central government, right? Central government make postings or the of the members of UPSC all. So in a way, all India service officers, they are appointed by central government. But where do they serve? Where do they work? They work in state, right? If suppose after a couple of years, Rituparna becomes an IS officer, right? And she is given an state cadre of maybe Odisha, right? So she will serve almost 30 years of her life in Odisha, but she is appointed by central government, right? So basically here also you can see na, the appointee center, but you are working for Odisha. So na, sometimes state says that these all India service officer are your jasus. These are your, you know, people who are sitting in our head, right? So that is also a bone of contention. So these things make our constitution a bit unitary bias, right? A bias towards a more stronger center. So I hope I have given a lot of folder on this just to understanding, but बस ये है ना, इतना इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है अपने एग्जाम के लिए, बट यू शुड हैव सम अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑन इट. क्लियर हो गया ना ये वाला पॉइंट? राइट. सो नाउ द नेक्स्ट फीचर ऑफ इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इज वी हैव ए पार्लियामेंट्री फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट, राइट? सो what could be other form of government? There are presidential form of government. Which country has a presidential form of government? Like a lot of country have presidential form of government. Philippines has a presidential form of government. America, right? Akshay is saying America. Hasis is saying America. Yes, right. USA is there. Philippines, a lot of country, right? But we opted for parliamentary system, and we have adopted this system from the British system, right? So in parliamentary system, the feature of parliamentary system is that there is more cooperation between legislature and executive, because we discussed in the class, political executive are part of legislature itself. The prime minister, the cabinet minister, they are also the part of parliament, right? So here in presidential form of government, separation of power of all these organs, right? It is more important. Executive, legislative, and judiciary. It is more important, right? So this you know, very easy thing, right? Then the sixth most important feature of our constitution is we have a, see, there are two terms. We have an independent judiciary and we have integrated judiciary, right? So what is in meaning of integrated judiciary, right? I am discussing here this point 6, integrated judiciary. So see, if you like I am discussing, I am giving a lot of examples from UK and USA because these are two major democracies in the world, right? अगर कोई और डेमोक्रेसी की आपको बात करना है, विचार दे. पाकिस्तान, like Pakistan is not a democracy, it is a failed state, right? It is a democracy but not that, right? So these are two most prominent and most oldest democracy, इसलिए we keep giving their reference, right? So in America, you know, they don't have a independent judiciary, they have a federal judiciary. तो वहां पे क्या सिस्टम है? दे हैव ए सुप्रीम कोर्ट देयर. सुप्रीम कोर्ट का वर्क इज just to have, you know, have dispute on union matters, and they have 50 states. All the states have their high court. They call it a federal court, right? So they, those court discuss only the laws of that particular state, right? So उनका सिस्टम ऐसा हो गया कि देर आर 50 हाई कोर्ट्स, है ना, स्टेट कोर्ट्स, एंड देन देर इज वन सुप्रीम कोर्ट, राइट? इसका डोमेन बिल्कुल अलग है, इनका डोमेन इज वेरी डिफरेंट, राइट? बट इन अवर कंट्री दैट इज नॉट द केस. इन अवर कंट्री वी हैव अ इंटीग्रेटेड जुडिशरी, मतलब there is no state judiciary. There might be state high court, there might be high court, right? There are high courts. So but we have supreme court at the top, and then we have high courts. How many high court do we have? Like this is your homework, है ना? ग्रुप पे बताना. आई विल आस्क दिस क्वेश्चन, हाउ मेनी हाई कोर्ट डू वी हैव ना? शायद 24 है, अभी कुछ ऐड भी हुए हैं 2-3, so maybe 25 or 26. Google it, right? So we have these high court, supreme court, and then we have subordinate courts, right? Subordinate courts मतलब डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट, आपने सुन रखा होगा ना, डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट. those are civil court and criminal courts, right? So these are all integrated. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि there is a different state of Madhya Pradesh, there is a different court of Madhya Pradesh, there is a different court of Assam, Maharashtra, Bombay. We do have a Bombay High Court, but Bombay High Court listens if somebody is living in Bombay and he feels aggrieved by some law of the central government, so you can go to central Supreme Court, or you can also go to High Court. So all our courts, high courts, they have also authority over central government law, right? So ऐसा नहीं है, like some people have doubt कि sir state जो high courts होते हैं सब, so they only see, they only jurisdice over the uh, laws of the state. ऐसा नहीं है, like they can jurisdice over the laws of the center also. And state, similarly we have center Supreme Court, he can, they can also uh, give their give their what we call them, verdict on center as well as state laws. So this is the meaning of integrated judiciary. We have an integrated judiciary, and here 26, like when you saying 20, we have 26 high courts presently in our country, right? So Supreme Court is at the top of integrated judiciary system. Then we have High Court and subordinate court. Right, all these courts enforces both center as well as state laws. Right, and then we also talk about our judiciary is very independent. Right, so our judiciary cannot come under pressure of this government, the central government, state government, or even the executive. Right, or the parliament. It is in a way accountable to them, but it is not under them. So since our judiciary is independent, it can, you know, pass its law without fear of anything, right? So that is the importance. So what we have done is, when we appoint a judge, it is very difficult to remove a judge, right? If you have to remove a judge of High Court or the Supreme Court, you have to make a constitutional amendment, and that constitutional amendment, like you have not constitutional amendment, but you have to pass a law in the parliament which requires huge majority, as much as what we need for constitutional amendment, right? So लिखा हुआ है, it is explicitly written in our constitution how we can remove the judges. So the judges of Supreme Court and High Court, they cannot be removed very easily, very difficult to remove, right? If suppose I am the judge of a court, right? I am a judge of maybe Madhya Pradesh High Court, and I passed a law against the central government that this particular law of yours, like if I pass a law about farm law, right? There recently there has been dispute, and I say that no, this is illegal, right? Central government is very powerful, very popular. So like if I am afraid of them, I would see ki if I pass a law, if I pass a judgment against the central government, what might happen is that I will lose my job. If I have this fear of losing my job, then what will happen is that I will not be able to make justice to the cases, right? I will be always under pressure, and I will be biased against some people, right? So our constitution maker recognize this, and they say that we will give very good power, full power to the judges, and they cannot be removed easily. Their salaries, है ना, and allowances, they are not determined by parliament, they are charged upon the central consolidated fund of India, right? So ऐसा भी नहीं होगा कि if I am not doing something favorable to any government, so you start cutting my salary, right? This is what happened. Then some other powers, the Supreme Court or the parliament, they cannot, you know, decrease the power of High Court or Supreme Court. They can increase their power, but they cannot decrease. So these are some protections given. So just remember this: we have an integrated and independent judiciary, right? And these are just the provisions of that, right? Then another feature is we have fundamental rights in our constitution. So we will go in great detail of this, right, later. But just we do have fundamental rights, which is enshrined in which part of a constitution? Part 4, 5, 2, 3, which? कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के किस पार्ट में वी हैव फंडामेंटल राइट्स? वी हैव fundamental rights included in part 3 of constitution, right? We will go in detail. Yes, Akshay is saying part 3. And fundamental right is to promote the political democracy. Similarly, we have directive principle of state policy. प्यार से इसको DPSP बोलते हैं, right? Directive principle of state policy, right? This. ठीक है, सो दिस इज ऑल्सो समथिंग विच विल गो इन डिटेल. इससे हर साल सवाल आता है, इस साल भी सवाल आएगा, राइट? लास्ट ईयर दे आस्क्ड आर्टिकल 44 में क्या लिखा हुआ है, और दे आस्क्ड यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड इज पार्ट ऑफ विच आर्टिकल. सो दिस इज पार्ट ऑफ डायरेक्टिव प्रिंसिपल ऑफ स्टेट पॉलिसी ओनली. right? So the aim of that DPSP is to promote social and economic democracy, right? You understand what is democracy? Now, by democracy, like generally by democracy, what do we understand? Tell me, what do you understand by democracy? Anyone? By democracy, I think, I hope I'm audible, or everyone of you, every one of you is asleep, right? I hope like you are awake. ठीक है? So yes, by the people, of the people, for the people, right? ये तो बचपन में पढ़ रखा है अपन ने, ठीक है? 5वीं क्लास से रटा हुआ है. But generally another notion is that कि democracy is about voting. Now we have right to vote. We go election. We press the button, and yes, we are democracy. So that amounts to a bit political democracy only, right? Right. So आप political right कर रहे हो, but real democracy is by the people. Most important is for the people. This country India is for the people of India, right? It is not for a prime minister or chief minister or a president, right? It is for the people. So what if a country is for the people, that means that all its resources are basically the resources of the people of this country, right? Everything is there in our country, it is for the people of this country. So all these people, all these things, all these resources should lead to economic development of everyone. Economic democracy means economic development of everyone. So this DPSP, इनके अंदर ऐसे ऐसे provisions हैं, these have such provisions which try to bring in economic democracy and social democracy. Economic democracy means it wanted कि everybody should have some kind of work, right? ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि all the income in our country is taken by just few individual, कि अंबानी के पास, like I should not take names. If a few people, few, just all the wealth of this country should be uh, controlled by just few people. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. So there should be less inequality, right? There should be opportunity to work, right? Similarly, there should be social democracy, right? This is something which Dr. Ambedkar talked a lot about. Dr. Ambedkar at the time of independence, he said that कि okay, till now we have been under colonial rule, right? We were not free, but like what is the guarantee that after independence a lot of section of the people, a lot of section of our society, they will be free, right? Like B.R. Ambedkar happened to be from depressed class, like the class which we call scheduled caste, right? So B.R. Ambedkar experienced a lot of trauma, a lot of discrimination when he was a child, right? When he used to study, people didn't allow him to study. When he used to go and drink water from some well, some river, people used to beat him up, right? Or beat his family members, all these things. So he faced a lot of discrimination. So he was worried कि okay, we are getting independent, but our society is still a very casteist society. Now we have division on the basis of religion, language, you know, even the way we wear the clothes. There is a lot of division in our country. So you can give voting right to everyone, but what if if even if I have a voting right, but people discriminate me on the basis of my caste, on my status, on my class, then it is not true democracy. I will never be happy, right? It is very important to be socially respected, to have a very good life. Now if you are not socially respected, if you are socially discriminated, you cannot be a happy person, no matter how much money do you have, no matter how many political power do you have. Now we all strive for respect, to bring in that respect in our society for everyone. We have social democracy. Democracy means for everyone, for everyone. So economic matlab economic opportunities for everyone. Social democracy means absence of any discrimination on the social lines. I hope so. Basically, yeah, this is a keyword. This part of our constitution, that is part 4A. Sorry, part 4. Part 4 of our constitution. It strives to make India a welfare state. India a welfare state. Right? So I hope you are comfortable with it. We will go in more detail of this. But मैंने आपको philosophy बता दी, right? So like whatever I was saying from last 2-3 minutes, it was all philosophical. So that is why I said here that the philosophical part of our constitution is derived from Irish constitution, right? So that is DPSP. As well as preamble ने भी बहुत ज्ञान दिया है ना. It says that we wanted to make India a social, secular, socialist, democratic republic, right? इतने सारे keywords एक साथ दे दिए. So it is all philosophical, right? So that is why I said that philosophical part is derived from Irish, because DPSP and preamble. I hope it is then again this is also an important fact. Point number 9, right? ये भी बहुत commonly it is asked in MCQ examination, right? So the fundamental duties. So since we have rights and duties, है ना, बचपन में पढ़ रखा होगा. Rights and duties, they are the two faces of the same coin. Right? So if you have some rights given by the government or the constitution, you also have certain duties towards your country, towards your society, towards your environment, right? Towards elders, towards women, towards animal, towards our natural heritage. Now we have few fundamental duties, right? So actually when our constitution was drafted in 1950, there were no fundamental duties in our constitution, right? But then what happened was Indira Gandhi government, it constituted a committee which is known as Swaran Singh committee, right? Swaran Singh committee. So on the basis of Swaran Singh committee, they recommended that we should have fundamental duties also. So these fundamental duties what was later added to our constitution. In the original constitution we don't have fundamental duties. So fundamental duties were added to the constitution by 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, right? Is my voice breaking or I am audible? Is my, like, I hope my I'm audible, right? National flag, yes. Yes. So okay, thank you, I'm audible. So we will study about fundamental duties. There are 11 fundamental duties. There are 11 fundamental duties in our constitution. So we will study them in a class in a half an hour. But for now, just remember that we also have fundamental duties. Second fact you should remember is they were not part of the original constitution. They were added to the constitution by 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act. This 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act. This is also known as mini constitution. Right? Because by this 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, the Indira Gandhi government added a lot of things or removed certain things. So they made a lot of changes to the constitution by this 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act. So it is known as fundamental mini constitution. So they added fundamental duties among other things. Like they added a lot of things. Fundamental duties were one of the things. It was based on Swaran Singh committee recommendation. Right. So they added 10 fundamental duties, and then after 86th Constitutional Amendment Act we added another fundamental duty. So we will read it. Yes. So during emergency, emergency was from 1975 to 77 78, and then after that in 78 there was these changes, right? 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, right? So okay, then another thing is our constitution provides for a secular state. ना हम बहुत दिनों से सेकुलर कर रहे हैं, and you all must have read this term in news also कि secular state. So what is a secular state? What is the meaning of secular state? And actually you should also contextualize this, right? In some context this is a very important thing, right? Because in 1947, just एक बार आंख बंद करके you imagine what was happening in 1947. In 1947, like after long struggle we were getting independent, right? We were getting independence from Britishers, right? But another unfortunate thing was happening is that we were getting partitioned, right? We were partitioned into India and Pakistan. There were a lot of riots. No, there were a lot of communal riots happening in the country. The people were moving; they were walking hundreds of kilometers on their, on their bare feet, right? And there were riots between various communities. They were happening, right? And then the nation of Pakistan was also born, and Pakistan declared itself as a Islamic State, right? They declared themselves as a state which has a religion, whose government also has a religion. So it was very tempting for India to also like to flow in the majoritarian that thing, right? But fortunately, our leaders, they didn't budge in that pressure condition, right? So they opted for a secular state. Secular state means a state
किस
or a government dharm nirpeksh. Yes, Priyansh says that secularism, if you have to do it a Hindi translation, we call it, it is a very good word, dharm nirpeksh, right? So it means dharm, we are, the central government is not biased towards any religion, not center, any government, whether it is state, center, panchayat, any government official. When you will become an officer of GSI, right? Then also you will have to follow this principle of secularism. So this just means that the state, or state by state I mean the government ना, state का मतलब यहाँ होता है government. स्टेट मतलब अपना नॉर्मल स्टेट नहीं होता, स्टेट मतलब गवर्नमेंट. So the government has no official religion, right? It has no official religion. So it is not Hindu, it is not Muslim, it is not Sikh, it is not Jewish, right? Like Israel. Israel is a country, you all must have heard that. So they are a Jewish nation. Jewish nation because a lot of Jews live in that country, but also because state follows Judaism, right? The Jew religion. So in our country, we have no official religion. Plus, there is a difference between Indian secularism and Western secularism, right? Can anybody tell me what is the difference between Indian secularism and Western secularism? This is also a very important question. हाँ, ये बहुत commonly पूछते हैं और understanding होना चाहिए इसमें, right? So we have Indian model of secularism. एंड देन वी हैव वेस्टर्न. वेस्टर्न मतलब वर्ल्ड मैप पता है ना. कभी कभी लोग लाइक लास्ट क्लास somebody asked me, sir, why do we who are western, which countries are western, right? So just to can anybody guess what I am drawing? Like Rituparna says that, sir, in India, no state is supposed to give preference to a particular religion, but all religions should be given equal importance. Very good, right? So I will explain this, right? So I am not only drawing the map of Asia; it is world map, dear, right? So this is North America, this is South America, this is Africa, and this is Eurasia, all Europe, and this is our country, India. So we call, now you are all geologists, so you know the direction, right? This is east, this is east, this is west, this is north, this is south, right? So we call Western model matlab model which are in Europe as well as in Americas, right? So this is India, right? And everything here is west. So we call it Western. Sometimes we say that Eastern philosophy. So they say, this America or the European say that the Eastern nation or the Eastern philosophy, it means India, Japan, China, Southeast Asia, right? आई होप थोड़ा सा वर्ल्ड मैप है और कुछ नहीं है. सो वेस्टर्न मतलब यूरोपियन और दी अमेरिकन, राइट? दिस वाज एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर एक्टिविटी, right? So basically, what is the difference between Western and Eastern? So like Rituparna says that in Indian secularism and in Western secularism, what is the model of there? They say that state has no religion, right? This is common, but there is a very strict, there is a very strict separation. There is a very strict separation between religion and state, that is the government, right? There is a very strict, they say, like if you have following news, and if you follow news of France, the France don't even allow you to wear religious dresses in public spaces, right? Like they were not allowing burqa, people to, like the Muslim women to wear burqa in France. Now if you are a Sikh and you cannot take that qatar which you have, right? You cannot even there were even initially there were restriction even on wearing of turban, right? So they have a lot of, if you are a Christian, then also you have a lot of restrictions. But so that is their model. They say that no, if you are a public officer, you cannot display your religion. Very, very strict, right? In Indian secularism, we have a very positive concept. We say that okay, the government don't have a religion, but the government will protect everyone. It will give equal respect to all the religion. Right? We are not suppressive. We are not negative to no religion. We said that all religions are good. Right? So like there are example of this. For Muslims, we give, like the government used to give the Hajj subsidy, although these days there has been some changes, right? For like there is a policy by government with the name Geo Parsi. आपने सुन रखा होगा. इट इज ए स्कीम, जियो पारसी, इट इज ए स्कीम बाय गवर्नमेंट. तो जियो का मतलब क्या होता है? नॉट मुकेश अंबानी वाला जियो, बट दिस इज अ हिंदी जियो. जियो मतलब लिव पारसी. So actually the population of Parsis is getting very low in our country, right? They are like just few thousand, 20,000, 30,000 is the population of Parsi as per the census. So government want keep their population increase. So we have very remunerative scheme for them to increase the population, right? Similarly for the Hindus, government help, government donates, government felicitate a lot of things, like they felicitate Kumbh Mela, right? They are even helping, due to Supreme Court directives. They have made a trust and they are helping build a mandir, a temple. So like similarly we give a lot of this to Christians, right? Government give funds for the celebration of a lot of tribal festivals. So the state, the government, they provide support, equal support to all the religion. So we have a very positive outlook towards religion. We don't have a very negative outlook, restrictive outlook like the Western countries like France, right? So that is why the French society, despite being wealthy, they have a lot of, lot of what we can say, they have a lot of quarrels, lot of dispute. Now, you must have heard about this Charlie Hebdo cases, and that burqa, and a lot of cases keep coming up, a lot of frictions keep happening, right? So that is the thing. So we are a secular state. It means that religion has no uh, state has no religion, right? All right. I don't know, my this has hanged a bit. Okay, I'll close it and I'll end it again. Okay, just give me a minute. आई होप समझ में आ रहा है ना सब जो भी हम पढ़ रहे हैं आज. इजी है, कंसेप्चुअल, इट इज ऑल कंसेप्चुअल. एंड इसके बाद वी विल बी मोर फोकस्ड ऑन एमसीक्यू बेस्ड थिंग्स, राइट? uh, am I audible? Like there is again a power cut here, but I think I might not be visible, but I will be audible, right? Am I audible? Yes. Okay, thank you. Right, so we will continue. Right, I have opened my hotspot. we'll continue with that. So this we are done. Again, a very very interesting topic is we have a universal adult franchisee, right? So what is universal adult franchisee? Now I might not be able to look at your comments, right? So I'll explain it my own self. So universal adult franchisee matlab in our country we have given right to vote. We everybody has a right to vote. Anybody who is above 18 plus years, he or she has right to vote without any discrimination on the basis of religion, race, caste, sex, or illiteracy, wealth, all these things, right? So, like this is an important aspect, and it is like you have to contextualize it to appreciate what like what these people are talking, right? Just there is a issue. All right. So, all right. So, what is now? I will be able to see your comments also after a couple of minutes. So, what is universal adult franchise? Universal adult franchisee is nothing but it is about giving uh, voting right to everyone, right? So, you should contextualize it. When did we drafted our constitution? We drafted it in 1950s, right? So, you know in even in 1950s, like the last time we had election in our country before independence, it was 1937, I think, right? In 1937 we had an election, and from there we had state governments under the British rule. So in 1937 only 20% of the adult Indians, they were eligible for voting, right? Only 20% of the adult Indians. So there were a lot of barriers. Barriers like they had literacy qualification. In few countries there used to have a lot of uh, a test, they call it literacy test, including America, right? They have wealth criteria, and you should be at least this much wealthy to be eligible to vote, right? There was tax criteria. If you are a tax paying citizen, then only you can vote, right? And the biggest discrimination in voting front was with women, right? Like when did America got independence? It got independence in 1780s, right? So it got independence that back, and even till 1920s America did not allow its women to vote. See, that is how much? That is 150, around 130 years after independence, they allowed women to vote. Otherwise, they didn't allow women to vote. So, India, when India was independent, India was a pretty illiterate. Our society was pretty low on the literacy, right? At least 90% of the people in our country, they were illiterate. There was vast amount of poverty, right? In 1947, 90% people were illiterate. There were vast poverty. Even then we did not say that this particular, and there were, the most important was there were caste division. Like there were some people who were, quote unquote touted as untouchables. Now there were, lot of caste discrepancy, there was religious discrepancy, right? There was a lot of hierarchy. So despite all these realities, our constitutional makers took a they took a very bold, our constitutional makers, our constitutional makers took a very bold step, and they gave universal adult franchisee, right? So like there are some facts which you can remember about universal adult franchisee. So at the time of independence, right, at the time of independence, the voting age was 21 years, right? Then it was reduced to how much today it is 18 na. It was reduced to 18 by 61st constitutional amendment act, right? By 61st constitutional amendment act. So this universal adult franchisee, it basically means that in our constitution, every citizen who is more than 18 years of age, he has a right to vote, right, without any discrimination on the basis of uh, religion, race, caste, gender, and literacy and wealth, right? There might be some discrimination on the basis of place of birth, right? If you are, if maybe if you are born in Assam, and if you say that I have right to vote, I have right to vote and I want to vote in the election of Madhya Pradesh, then you are not allowed, right? Because like there are certain rules. All those rules are given by a act which we call as RPA, Representation of People's Act, a Representation of People's Act 1950. So it is an act enacted by Parliament, and it gives all the right. Right to vote is given by this act. Right, remember this. Write it in your copy that right to vote is not a constitutional vote. Na, universal adult franchisee is given in constitution, but how you can vote, where you can vote, this is determined by Parliament via this act, right? So ये IAS के एग्जाम में last year this was a question that right to vote is a what? Question was right to vote is option A is constitutional right, B is legal right, right? So it is not a constitutional right. It is not given by constitution. It is given by this act, right? But constitution says that you cannot discriminate anyone on the basis of religion, race, caste, gender, literacy or wealth. ऐसा नहीं है कि if Mukesh Ambani will come and vote, his vote will account for 1,000 votes, and if Rituparna votes, her vote will be equivalent to one vote. That is not the case, right? Everybody, if somebody is billionaire or if somebody is a student, their vote accounts for the same thing, right? So this is universal adult franchisee. So I actually wanted to give some more facts on this, but like we are running short on time, so like I'll skip it. It is not important. It was just fun facts, right? Then the another thing is there about single citizenship. This we discussed, right? So in our country, like this is wrong. I have written this should have come here in 11th, right? 11th ka hai about. So we have the single citizenship, right? So like I have discussed this single citizenship. What is single citizenship? Single citizenship is like we are the citizen of India only. We are not, we don't get the citizenship basis on the basis of our state, right? But in America, people have dual citizenship, right? They are the citizen of USA as well as citizen of the state in which they live, right? So that is the thing. So we have a single citizenship, they have dual citizenship. So they have basically two allegiances, right? So in our country, like what could be the motive of single citizenship? We could have also gone the United States way, right, of giving dual citizenship. But can you guess what could be the reason why we didn't go for dual citizenship? Think on the basis of history, right? See when the constitution was being drafted and what was happening in the country, right? When the constitution was drafted in 1950s, 1940, right? What was happening in the country? Riots were happening in the country, right? Communal disharmony was prevailing in the country, right? Then there were some states which don't want to come in India, like Hyderabad. The king, the ruler of Hyderabad say that no, I will not join India, right? The region of the Gujarat, some part of what we call it Junagadh, they say that they don't want to join India. The ruler of and Bhopal was also adamant, right? So like there were a lot of vociferous tendencies, Like people wanted to go out of India, some wanted independent countries in themselves, right? The rulers, not people, but the rulers. So already our constitutional makers were very suspicious. Yes, Jammu and Kashmir was also an issue. Yes, he's saying so there was also dispute in Jammu and Kashmir. Even Pakistan attacked part of Jammu and Kashmir and tried to occupy it. The same was happening in Gujarat, right? And a lot of rulers they were getting ambitious. They said that I will be prime minister of a country. Something like that was happening. There were division on linguistic lines also. The people were fighting that make us an independent state, make us a different state, right? So all these things were happening, and the constitutional makers were worried. So they said that if we give for dual citizenship, it will add fire to all these things only. Now people will. At that time, we wanted to build a nation called India, right? Nation India. Nation is a word, and there is no word. One word is a state. State, I mean a country, right? Nation is also a country. But there is a difference between these two terms. Now, nation is a cultural aspect. If we say that we are a nation, it means that we believe in oneness of each other, right? We believe that we have a common culture. There is a social dimension to it. This term state is a political concept. It is a political concept that we politically are a single country, right? But if suppose we are still a nation into making, we are still not a perfect nation. We are still a maker into making, because we still have a lot of dispute. We you can see that we more often than not we have communal riots. We have riots on the lines of ethnic disputes in northeast. You can see a lot of ethnic dispute between various tribe groups keep happening. There are a lot of tribal disputes, so all these things keep happening. The caste wars are there, especially in the northern states. Now there is a lot of Sena, Karni, Sena, Ram Sena, and they are basically groups based on caste, right? Caste hierarchy. So there are caste dispute, there are communal dispute, class disputes, linguistic conflicts. All these things are happening, right? Despite the single citizenship, because we are still a nation in the making. We are still not a nation. We are a country, we are a state, but we are still a nation in the making, right? So this is something which these ideals are still not realized, but we are a nation in the working, right? So this is a phenomena. Then another important feature of our constitution is our constitution has provided for a lot of independent bodies, right? In the first class I asked you a question that who runs a country, right? Who runs a country? So some of you said that it is the prime minister who runs the country, it is the president who runs the country. So all right, so like we discussed, government has various wings: executive, legislative, judiciary. So these are the pillars of a government, but apart from them, it is the institutions which are the another important fourth pillar of our constitution, right? Then we also say that there is media, which is a fifth pillar, but that is a different topic. So there are a lot of constitutions, that is institutions, that is independent bodies. Like there is election commission, there is comptroller and auditor general, there is UPSC, there is state public service commission, right? So we have a lot of independent bodies. So like what is the function of election commission? Election commission का function is to conduct free and fair elections. Elections of whom? Election commission conducts election of किस किसका election conduct कराता है? Election Commission of India. Can anybody make a guess? This could be a question in your prelims this year. That election commission conducts and regulates and oversees the election of which of the following, right? An option will be president. Sorry, I will write it here. You got the question, na? Election commission conducts elections of which of the following? President, vice president, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, state legislative assemblies और पंचायत. और कोई भी इलेक्शंस होते हैं क्या? Other elections happen in our college प्रीफेक्ट का, मॉनिटर्स का, उसमें इलेक्शन कमीशन नहीं आता है अनफॉर्चुनेटली, राइट? सो विन्यू, I don't know what is your real name, but here it is showing Vinu. So Vinu is saying SLC, all except 6. Akshay is saying all except 6. So that is the correct answer, right? That is the correct answer. Election Commission conduct the election of president, vice president. How they conduct, who vote for them, we will do it in a class, right? Don't worry. But it conducts the election of MPs, both MPs, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. It conducts election for state legislative assembly, but it don't conduct election for panchayats. The panchayat elections are conducted by state election commission, right? Every state has their election commission, right? Like recently I think in Bihar, elections are going on, right? This panchayat election, so all that is conducted by state machinery, now the state election commission, not the central state government. So this is an important question. Write it in your copy, right? इसको बाद में भी we will come back to it, but this can be asked uh, in your exam for sure, right? So all right, with this, then what is the function of CAG, current comptroller and auditor general? CAG, what did CAG do? It audits the account, right? It audits the account of the government. It audits the accounts of central government as well as state government, right? What is the purpose of UPSC? What is the purpose of UPSC? The purpose of UPSC is to conduct the exam for the government postings, right? Varna in our country it is very easy. If suppose we don't have a independent body like UPSC, I don't think many of you would be giving this exam, right? Like uh, because it has the credibility and the reputation of being really independent and unbiased, right? Otherwise, like in our country, you must have heard about the term bhai bhatija baj, right? If somebody is in the government, he will try or she will try to have his daughter, her nephew in the government, right? So it this don't happen. We have an independent body to conduct exam to all India services and to the central services, right? Central services like geoscientist examination. So these are conducted by UPSC. Similarly, we have public service commission. State public service commission conducts exam to all the state service post. Right? That is done. Right, so just 5 more minutes and then we will end the class. So last two provisions which I have included is, one is the emergency provisions and another one is three-tier system. So like we will discuss a bit in detail because इस पे भी सवाल आते हैं directly, right? So emergency provisions. So what are emergency provisions? Emergency is, what is emergency? Emergency is a situation. Emergency is a situation. Right. So emergency is an extraordinary situation. Right. Which a country might face. So actually these emergency provisions, first thing you should remember, from which constitution we have adopted these emergency provisions. Any guesses? Yes, right. Amar and Masarul, you are right. It is from Germany. We call it the Weimar Republic. उस समय we used to call it the Weimar Republic at the time of Hitler, right? So we borrowed it from the Weimar Republic, right? And why we have such provisions, emergency provisions, is like basically to protect the sovereignty of India, to protect the unity, integrity, right, and security of India. So we have this emergency situations. So basically, this is what I want to discuss. There are three types of emergency in our country. You can write this in your notes also, and I've also provided this in the reading material, right? So there are three types of emergency. First is, we call it national emergency. Second one, we call it the state emergency. And the third one, we can call it the financial emergency. Right? These are written in our constitution. There are three kinds of emergencies. So there could be a direct question on this year, right? They can what they can ask is which of the following article provides for national emergency, right? So इसको याद करना है, right? So in our constitution under article 352, state emergency is given in under article 356. चार का gap है. There is a gap of 4. And financial emergency, it is written in under article 360. राइट, याद रख लोगे, इसको नोट्स में बना के रखो. मेक अ पेज and write the topic as important articles. राइट, तो अभी तक हमने 368 पढ़ रखा है. दैट इज अबाउट अमेंडमेंट ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में प्रोसीजर है. अभी वी आर रीडिंग 352, 356 and 360. All right. So these are for emergency provisions. So like what is national emergency? What is national emergency? National emergency is a situation. Just give me a minute. Okay. What is national? Yes, national emergency. इसको हम कब लगाते हैं? अंडर आर्टिकल 352 वी implement it under the condition of war. Suppose today China attacked India. That is a state of national emergency. They will try to occupy our country. So that is a state of war. So उस समय कर सकते हैं. There are technical terms written in constitution. इनको थोड़ा पढ़ के रखना. One is war. One is on the grounds of external aggression. There might not be full-fledged war, but sometimes like Kargil, something happened in Kargil, Pakistan. There was an aggression on the part of Pakistan. So that was a national emergency situation. Or there could be armed rebellion. Armed rebellion, this could be by the citizen of our country itself, right? Like there are you must have heard about Maoism. There are Maoists in the central part, Chhattisgarh and some parts of area. So they might take up arms, and they might attack in a huge manner to the state. So that might be a condition which could invite for national emergency. So these are the three keywords: war, external aggression, armed rebellion. If that is the case, we can declare national emergency under Article 352. Please remember this, right? Second is state emergency. So what about state emergency? It is implemented on the grounds of it may be there are two terms, right? First, they have written in the constitution as if there is a failure of constitutional machinery, or if there is a failure by state. Here by state I mean state government. Failure by state to comply with direction of center. Right, I hope it is legible, or otherwise I can write it again. So this is state emergency. So it is on the ground, either there is a failure of constitutional machinery. So you can see this is a very subjective term. Like how you will identify that there is a failure of constitutional machinery. So this article 356 is very often misused, right? It is misused by central government to terminate the state government, right? Abhi nahi ho raha hai, but in 70s, 80s, 90s, a lot of times this provision was misused by the governments, right? Or if there is you can see by these wordings, you can see that center is very powerful, right? If state fail to comply with the direction of center, the government of state can be terminated, right? So this is also a fodder for the central government to do a lot of चुलबाजी करने का मौका मिल जाता है इससे, right? So this is the second, and the third and the last one is financial emergency. तो हमारी कंट्री में कभी फाइनेंशियल इमरजेंसी नहीं लगी है. इट इज व्हेन देयर इज अ फाइनेंशियल इंस्टेबिलिटी. in the country, so we can put this financial emergency. So when there is a financial emergency, there are repercussions on the salaries of government servant, right? If somebody government display that we are in a financial emergency condition, so there might be, they might not give salary to the judges of the court, they might not give full salary to the government officers, all these things, but this situation has never arisen in our country till now. So it is given under article 360, right? So this is one thing. Another thing, what is the implication of emergency? If the government declares emergency, right? And if a government declares, central government declares emergency, what is the implication? The implication is that our political system, it convert from federal to unitary, right? So basically, till the time emergency is imposed, you can say that state government don't exist, state government gets terminated, and everything is occupied by the central government, lawmaking, execution, everything, right? So basically, you are changing the structure of constitution without amendment through emergency, right? But emergency cannot go on forever, it has particular time limit, and it has to be ratified after every 6 months by the parliament, and at max it can go to some limits itself, right? This we will declare in discuss in detail later. So I hope you understand. So like, this is just a single point. What things you need to remember? Articles and types. Which articles are important for emergency? First thing is, it is taken from Weimar Republic at the German Constitution. Which articles are important? 352, 356, 360. It goes for national emergency. है ना? National emergency is imposed using this article. State emergency is imposed using 356, and financial emergency is imposed using 360. Right. One more thing you should remember, that emergency is imposed mostly by 356, but state emergency can also be imposed by article 365. ये 4 आर्टिकल याद, इट इज वेरी इजी ना, बस ये इन्हीं को तो घुमा दिया है, 356, 365, वेरी इजी टू रिमेंबर, तो इनको याद करके रखो, राइट? दीज 4 आर्टिकल्स एंड टाइप्स ऑफ इमरजेंसी एंड द कीवर्ड्स, राइट? द नेशनल इमरजेंसी के लिए देयर कुड बी वार, एक्सटर्नल एग्रेशन और आर्म रेबेलियन. स्टेट इमरजेंसी के लिए व्हेन देयर इज फेलियर ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मशीनरी और the failure of state to comply with the direction of the center. And financial emergency is when there is instability, financial instability in the country. So I hope you understand this. Are we clear? And this is the last feature which we should talk about, and that is 15, point number 15, and that is the 3-tier government, right? So at the start of the constitution, we have just dual polity. We have central government and the state government, right? But after the 73rd and 74th constitutional amendment act, now we also have local government, and what we call this local government is panchayati raj institutions, right? Panchayati raj system. So this we have like read about it. So like, which schedule were added by 73rd and 74th amendment? Which schedule? Please reply, anybody who is awake. Yes, 11 and 12. Good, Yash. 11 and 12. 11 schedule was added by 73rd and 12 schedule by 74th Constitutional Amendment Act. Panchayat and municipal, right? Right. And one more thing you can remember is which parts were also added by 73rd and 74th Amendment. Right. We know that schedule 11 and 12 were added, and if we talk about parts, there are 22 parts in our 25 parts in our constitution. Part number 11, part number 9 and 9A, these are added by this, right? So like, I hope I am hoping that there will be a question this year in your exam, that which of the following parts constitute provisions of panchayati raj institutions, and option में आएगा part 4, part 3, part 12 and part 9. So option answer is part 9. So इनको याद करके रखो, 9 and 9A, right? Keep it in your notes as a fact, right? So that is it. I think we have extended a bit time, but we also started late. So we are done with this basic of the constitution. Now from the next class, um, politics class will happen now on the next Monday mostly, and we will start with the most important and most interesting topic of our constitution, that is the fundamental right. So we will go through in detail, right, in maybe couple of class, all these rights, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is not right anymore, and this six. We will go through these six sites, and then in the next class we will talk about DPSP, then fundamental duties, and then we will talk about important institutions of our country and the possible questions which can be asked in our examination, right? So that is it. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. Otherwise, we will end the